Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the IGN Pro League. My name is Total Biscuit, bringing you this matchup between two teammates right here in the losers bracket. We've got Phoenix versus TT1, both from the team FnaticMSiTTI. Now, these guys are practice partners. They've played together an awful lot. Hell, they even played 2v2 together. So who's going to come out of this one on top? Because one of them is going out of this tournament entirely. So no punches will be pulled. That I can guarantee. The drop-heavy, aggressive style of Phoenix versus the very solid, well-rounded style of TT1 and the Protoss. It's going to be a matchup for the ages, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are ready, because I am. Let's get it on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Terminus Re. My name is Total Biscuit, and I'm bringing you this matchup right here between Phoenix in the blue trunks. He is playing Terran, and of course he's playing for Team FnaticMSiTTI versus his opponent and teammate TT1. In the green trunks, he is playing Protoss, also of course from the team FnaticMSiTTI. Now, these guys will go at it, that I can guarantee. They're practice partners. They've been known to also play 2v2 together. This will be interesting because both these guys are in the losers bracket. One will be going out, so they'll be trying to hang on as much as possible. Both very capable players. TT1 particularly comes off a GSL World Championship set of wins against Nada, as well as the player San. Yes, it is that damn good. That is how good he is, and he only ended up falling to the mighty MC, currently considered to be one of the best Protoss players in the world. So he's pretty good. He's got a very, very good record in terms of tournament wins in major live LAN environments. And Phoenix as well has been doing extremely well lately and has very strong showings in online tournaments. It participates in quite a few of them as well. It should be interesting. I do not expect any quarter from both of these guys, honestly. Not a single little tiny bit. Just not going to happen. Phoenix opens up with the barracks, of course, and TT1 with the gateway. A little bit of banter going on between those two players right here, as you would expect from teammates. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Discussing the potential balance issues with the map and things like that. And that's very common amongst pro players. They like to discuss that kind of thing in the first few minutes of the game. Honestly, don't blame people, really. The first few minutes of a StarCraft 2 game is generally quite slow. Usually just starting to get the economy rolling, getting the basic buildings up. The things you need in order to start things off. And really, you don't have a huge amount of choices in that regard unless you plan on doing something hyper-aggressive. Something that some players will, and indeed spectators more to the point, will actually class as cheesy. Nothing going on of that particular caliber right now. I wouldn't really expect that from these two teammates. Cybernetics Skull coming down right here for TT1. No early Zealot coming out, so I have to imagine he's going to wait for a Stalker, and we'll see what that actually leads him into. And possibly the fact that he's actually starting to save some resources right here would indicate that he might be going for an early expansion. And if we have a look at Phoenix's base as well, no real signs right now of any expansion yet, but he could do. I mean, his minimal count is getting fairly high right now. I have to see if he decides to put down another barracks or if he decides to expand from this. It's looking very likely that he will expand. Otherwise, he would have built the barracks by now already. Second gateway coming down right here for TT1. Still no units coming out. There we go, starting a Stalker. And I have to wonder how many units he'll really push out here. Doesn't seem to be too eager to push out the Warp Gate research, saving his Chrono Boost, using it right there to get some probes out in the way, looking to get a good economic situation for the time being. That second gateway will give him a little bit of ability to respond to any kind of early aggression. Here we go, command center coming down right here for Phoenix. That was the first barracks going down, the second barracks now following it up. No real massive military forces for either. Phoenix is now going into the factory. Phoenix known for many things, including Hellion drops, so we'll see what he decides to do with that. And of course, Marine Marauder drops. You'll need to get the factory in order to get the starport. We'll find out whether or not he decides to go down that route. It seems fairly likely, considering his usual playstyle. TT1, there we go. Expansion coming out for him. Was pretty light on the military, so kind of makes sense that he'd do that. And continuing to chrono boost out probes. You have a look at the state of his economy right now. It's very good. He's 4 harvesters ahead of his opponent right now. And thanks to chrono boost, he'll continue to start throwing those probes out as soon as this is complete. And we'll probably overbuild probes here so that he can move a few down. Third gateway, second assimilator going down, so 3 gateway into robotics would not be something I would be all that surprised by. There we go, expansion coming out, and pretty well defended here. And TT1 with a little bit of early aggression, not really an awful lot of damage he's going to be able to do there, unfortunately. Pushed away by the Marines, no real damage done to the Stalker. However, once that bunkers up, that Stalker won't really be able to do anything whatsoever, and more forces are really required in order for that to happen. Phoenix with 2 reactors coming down, an interesting build, and a tech lab coming up on the factory as well. We could be seeing Marines and tanks for the time being. There comes the robotics facility right here for TT1. That 3 gateway into robotics is a very standard build, very classic. There's nothing wrong with it, and of course very perfect against Terran, because you need to try and grab Colossi as quickly as possible, especially against a player like Phoenix, who has a tendency of building a lot of freaking Marines, as you can see right here. There we go, Marines and tanks is his particular strategy for the time being. We'll see whether or not he decides to get aggressive with those drops later on in the game. TT1 with a few Stalkers rolling out on the field, so he's certainly good enough to drive any kind of early expeditionary force away from this expansion right here. His economy's still looking good, 34 harvesters to 28, and that will continue to rise. Bear in mind, of course, his opponent can continue to build mules and try and keep the balance up, and he's doing so fairly well. He's only a little bit behind, nothing really to concern yourself with too much. Another assimilator coming down for TT1, so I really would expect Colossi at some point in the not-too-distant future from him once he gets the gas required. In fact, he's really sitting on a rather large amount of gas, and there we go. Robotics Bay coming up for him right here, and siege tanks continuing to pump out for Phoenix, as well as that starport. I knew we couldn't get away without doing at least a little bit of drop play, and also he'll probably be looking to get a Viking or two in order to get that extra visibility to use his tanks for aggressive purposes. Engineering Bay coming up for him as well, so yeah, it's very likely we'll see an infantry-heavy strategy. He's going to probably start throwing out some upgrades for that as well. Robotics Bay almost complete right now for TT1. An interesting place to put it, honestly. That's quite easily scoutable, and TT1's sort of showing his hand immediately, assuming that his opponent decides to go in there. Although, bear in mind, when you think about his opponent's usual strategy, the fact that he's very drop-heavy, it kind of makes sense. You wouldn't want to put a Robotics Bay out of the way, away from your defenses, because it would be too easy to snipe off. Putting out an Immortal as well, a very smart move considering the siege tank presence, and he does have an observer out on the field as well. Free SCV, nothing wrong with that. Lovely, lovely free SCV. There we go, 1 medevac now on the field. The question is, what is it going to do? We're looking for a push out right here. Yes, it looks like we might be. Here come the Marines, ladies and gentlemen. The +1 weapon upgrade is on its way. He's not going to wait for that to finish. The Observer will see that coming a mile away, and that Immortal will certainly help against the siege tanks. Bear in mind, though, there are a lot of Marines. This could be quite dangerous right here for TT1. Going to have to be very careful about what he decides to do. Couple of backup pylons coming on to make sure that nothing gets shut down in this area, and TT1 preparing for an attack, and really doesn't have a huge amount of forces to deal with it. That Colossus will probably be on the field, although not before TT1's forces engage with it. And Phoenix actually pushed away right there, trying to delay him as much as possible. There's the scan. Nothing really of value spotted with the exception of the Robotics Bay, but he has to expect that his opponent's gone down that route against Terran. Phoenix now with the deployment, and he's got to be a little bit careful to not move out of the range of those siege tanks. Let's try and start to crawl forward, maybe build a couple of forward bunkers. There we go. And TT1 with a good timing right there. Nails down the bunker almost immediately and pushes that SCV all the way, and that is 1 dead bunker. And here comes the engagement, folks. This could be quite messy. Zealots into the field and already annihilated very rapidly there by the Marines and the tanks. The Immortal holding the line. Unfortunately for TT1, he didn't have the forces he needed and was pushed away quite rapidly. Units lost right now is still looking pretty good in favor of TT1, so he doesn't have to worry too much. Colossi took 10 Marines off of Phoenix right there, so I wouldn't really be too concerned if I were TT1 right now. Another push right here, trying to take that bunker out, and it is detonated before anything happens. And here comes the first drop by the looks of it. There's a pick up and go with 8 Marines moving around the flank right here as Phoenix slightly pulling away right here. Looks like he's going to retreat and possibly expand down here just for the time being. The question is, what is this drop going to be able to do? And is TT1 ready to receive it? And the simple answer is actually he's not. He doesn't have defenses around the back of this line at all, and that could be a critical error. Phoenix Medivac, ready to roll, ladies and gentlemen. Ready to roll. Checking out the Night Elf dance around here, obviously. You know, a little bit of R&R for the troops before they go into battle. And it looks like TT1 has indeed moved in, and the delay by Phoenix could be costly. In fact, it absolutely is. He's going to lose pretty much everything except maybe the Medivac right here, and take a Stalker out, which is not really cost-effective, unfortunately. The Medivac gets away on 20 HP. So, yeah, that delay to check out the Night Elf was really not a very good idea, was it, Phoenix? I'm afraid not. I'm afraid not. Okay, if we have a look at the economic situation right now, it's looking very good for TT1. 60 harvesters to 48 versus his opponent, Phoenix. And Phoenix looking to expand again by the looks of it. Try and keep ahead of his opponent. We could be in for a fairly lengthy macro game right now. Phoenix's forces are looking fairly strong. 11 Marines, 3 Marauders, 5 Siege Tanks, and a Viking, plus that injured Medivac. However, the Colossi are really getting rolling right now for TT1, and that is something that concerns me greatly. As a Terran player, It terrifies me to see that kind of thing. And the Viking count on the field for Phoenix is nowhere near enough to deal with that many. It just isn't. It's 1 Viking versus 4 Colossi right now. That is not going to happen. I'd be very concerned right now, especially bearing in mind that the extended thermal lance upgrade is available. We're looking for +1 ground weapon upgrade before this engagement as well, which is really going to help those Colossi out an awful lot. And I don't know if Phoenix is going to be able to hold this kind of attack, but he does have a large amount of siege tanks, so anything that does go in at the front is going to get pulverized. Now, the question is, will TT1 decide to go in, or is he going to hold back for the time being, be a little bit patient, maybe check out the Night Elf chick in the corner? Possibly not. We'll find out. Medivacs moving in, nothing really in them as of yet, although once again they're going to be used as forward scouts. TT1 expanding behind this particular push onto his 4th base, 3rd expansion, and TT1 is ready to rock and roll. The question is Phoenix ready to receive this kind of thing? Well, there we go. He's got valuable scouting information. He saw it coming. There's the scan. He knows what's in that force. TT1 backs away, and he's not really keen on this. He doesn't actually have an observer deployed there. A nice forward missile turret will prevent that from happening. TT1 not all that keen of going on as of yet, and that's kind of unfortunate, because he could have probably done an awful lot of damage right there, bearing in mind that his opponent did not really have the units that he needed. Some interesting mix-ups right here for TT1. He has got a Warp Prism coming out, and he's got a Dark Templar Shrine to follow up that Twilight Council he built a little bit earlier. Intriguing. Could be seeing some Warp Prism drops right there with the Dark Templar. It's a possibility. Hell, even some Colossi drops. We'll find out what he decides to do with it. In the meantime, however, Phoenix is doing a few drops of his own. Marines and Marauders going towards this area right here. And I'm sorry, but 1 photon cannon, maybe even 2 photon cannons will not be enough to hold off that kind of ferocity, particularly with stim available and a lot of firepower from that +1. TT1 holding back right now, possibly going to push forward with the Warp Prism. We'll find out just how much damage he can do. That Warp Prism is going to be caught out of position. He does not want to be there at all. That's a bad position for the Warp Prism to be in. And there's the Stim to try and catch it out of position. The shield's ripped apart. Down it goes. Nice catch there by Phoenix. And a very unfortunate maneuver. However, it looks like that was actually a trap as TT1 is moving behind. However, he misses Phoenix only slightly. In the meantime, we've got the drop at the back of the base right here. And this expansion is in grave trouble. A quick warp in the middle. The question is, will it be quick enough to do the damage that it needs? There's the charge into the line. In the meantime, we see an engagement right now in the front line for Phoenix. Phoenix being pushed all the way back into his base. And right now, however, most of the ground-to-air firepower of TT1 has been disabled. In comes the force from the back. Nails down 1, 2, and 3 Colossi. Excellent play there by Phoenix. And TT1 is getting gutted right now. Most of the force is caught between a rock and a hard place. That base is doomed. Completely and totally doomed. TT1 did not come off all that well from that. He was able to take out an expansion, but he took a huge number of losses in the process. Will Phoenix be able to go into a counter push? Another base taken out right here for Phoenix as well. That drop was exceptionally effective. A free pylon for him as well. Can't be complaining. And TT1 looking to back off right here. He needs to reinforce and reconsolidate his forces. TT1's economy is looking fairly good. However, Phoenix's is really on a roll as well. He does have still 3 fully functional bases. And in the meantime, Phoenix looking to flank this base right here. And once again, TT1's getting caught out of position. Oh no, that is not good for TT1. Not at all. You're going to lose that base as well. That mineral line devastated. And there we go. There's the stim and the shield's rapidly melting right here on the Nexus. Down it goes. Looking for 50% HP, 25% warp in comes in. Not going to happen. And that's 4 very dead zealots running into the line of the tanks right here. TT1 trying to push him away. Should be able to do it. He's got the firepower to do it. Unfortunately, I'd be more concerned about the economic damage that was just done right there to TT1 by Phoenix. Not good at all. Here comes the charge, and Phoenix driven away once again. The question is, how much more damage can TT1 actually take? Running into the line right there. Great counter push right here by Phoenix. Pushing all the way into the line. I'd be more concerned about those Colossi. However, there's the blink right into the Marauder line. However, not really enough firepower to even take the Medivac down. And here come the Vikings, which is not the kind of thing you want at all. However, those Vikings are very badly injured. That could be a little bit of a problem right here for Phoenix. Driving away once again. Those Colossi still standing firm. There's the stim right here with the Colossi line. Will that be enough to deal with it? It is not. No, it is not. However, most of that ground-to-air firepower is down. Colossi getting melted. 1 taken down, 2 taken down, and all of the Stalkers down as well, with the exception of that one. And looking like another Colossi will die right here. However, TT1 ready to reinforce and very rapidly moving in to do just that. Takes 1, takes 2. Great blink right there by TT1. In the meantime, Phoenix is bringing out the heavy artillery, ladies and gentlemen. That is messy stuff. And he's got the Thors stomping out 2 Thors, in fact. I'm interested to see what TT1 is able to do with this single Dark Templar that he's got rolling around, although it's looking like not an awful lot. Single Dark Templar won't make a huge amount of difference. The economy of TT1 is starting to lag behind quite severely. He does have this base up and running again. This base is starting to get mined out, and of course his main base is mined out in terms of its minerals, but not its gas. Phoenix is looking very good right now indeed, and I would think that just one more big push should be able to end TT1. TT1's forces are not looking particularly strong right now, especially not against that number of Thors mixed in with the forces he's already got. Look at the amount of upgrades Phoenix has got. He is already 2 in weapons, 1 in armor. He is getting on with both of those, and he's going really upgrade heavy. In the meantime, TT1 is not standing around. Unfortunately, a planetary fortress is not the kind of thing you want if you want to try and snipe off a base. Very tough, very difficult to deal with. A lot of damage. Here comes the drop right here by Phoenix. There's another medevac back here, but it's not actually going to do anything. There we go. A few Stim Marines into the middle of the line. TT1's going to get gutted once again. Oh, wow. That is a lot of damage done right here to the economy of TT1. And the Marines pushing their way in. A couple of Zealots will not be enough to deal with it, especially bearing in mind the upgrades. However, those Zealots are doing a pretty damn good job regardless, holding the line. And nothing's going to happen there for Phoenix for the time being. Unable to take out the base, but certainly able to do a lot of economic damage. However, Phoenix not really in a position where he can win as of yet. He needs a few more forces to make it happen. He's looking for it, and it looks like he will be able to push very shortly. He'll probably wait for the upgrades. Can only imagine. That would make perfect sense. TT1 very much on the defensive right here. Not a huge amount he can do. He is reinforcing. He's trying to catch up on upgrades. He's doing a good job of doing that. 2 more gateways coming up right here for TT1. I'm still very concerned because he's fallen victim once again to Phoenix's aggressive drop play, and his economy has taken a huge amount of damage and a pulverizing, really, as a direct result of that. Here comes the engagement that could end all engagements, ladies and gentlemen. Phoenix charging in right here, and that is a huge number of Marauders and a lot of upgrades available. Dark Templar is in the line and slicing through it. However, the Thors are holding up for the time being. TT1 is actually going to get this engagement by the looks of it. He might have the firepower. However, I'd be very concerned about the fact that his meat shield at the front is now gone. Phoenix actually getting crushed right now. However, TT1 losing all of his forces in the process. A quick pick up and drop and unable to deal with the Vikings, and that was the critical part of that particular encounter. It was mutually assured destruction on both sides. And once again, Phoenix is doing a great job of focusing down those Stalkers before they become any real threat to the Vikings. And with that amount of Viking count, Colossi are really not an option right now for TT1. Phoenix pushing forward once again, perhaps looking for yet another expansion would make perfect sense. And in the meantime, get another drop into the line. Once again, Phoenix getting hyper-aggressive, taking out yet more probes. However, there is a Dark Templar there, and those are some very, very dead Marines. Absolutely nothing going to happen for him right there. Oh, no. It's one dangerous Dark Templar. Now, Phoenix looking once again for a push. Does he have the numbers he needs? Does he? It's looking a little bit dicey, I have to say. He does have a large number of upgrades. That will help. His Thors are not all that upgraded, though. Bear that one in mind. His Marines are great EMP there by the Ghost, right in the middle, and able to take out those sentries quite rapidly, I would think. Now, I would be still kind of concerned for Phoenix right here. However, it looks like he's going to hold the line. Can he bring those Immortals down? If he can, those Marauders will hold the line very nicely. The Thors don't take any damage. TT1 melts. GG, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Nice play there by Phoenix against his teammate TT1. Huge amount of damage inflicted by both sides. It was absolutely brutal. Brutal stuff. Massive amounts of resources lost, huge casualties on both sides, but at the end of the day, Phoenix's drop play was able to tilt TT1 to the point where he was unable to get the kind of size force he needed in order to repulse the firepower of Phoenix. Excellent play there by him, and he takes 1 in this best of 3 series. We'll be right back in just a few short moments, folks. Don't go anywhere. The fun has just got started.